The mainstream media often misrepresents our transgender and non-binary community. Washington and much of the world often treat us like outsiders and fail to protect our right to the pursuit of happiness. This neglect translates to a rise in fatal violence against us. In this video, transgender and non-binary people, our friends, our lovers, our parents, our children, unite to honor those we've lost in 2022. This following memorial may cause some anxiety in some of our viewers. Please take care of yourselves.
A.C. Morrison was 30 years old and used laughter as medicine and chose self-love to heal wounds. She was the one to open up her home to you, give you her all, then inspire you to keep going. She was shot dead in Rapid City, Michigan on August 21st, 2022.
Maricela Castro was planning her 40th birthday party. She had a happy and bright demeanor despite the discrimination she faced working in the construction industry. On July 29th, 2022, on the eve of her party, she was traveling with two other people in her car. She got out, and one of them shot her in the back, got back in the car, and fled.
Sasha Mason. Only pure and bright colors were worn at Sasha Mason's funeral because that was her personality. In a community near Raleigh, North Carolina, Sasha lived in an apartment behind her mother's home. On May 13th, 2022, at 1:45 a.m., Sasha's mother woke to the sound of gunfire. Police believe that the murderer and robbery suspects both knew and targeted Sasha. She was 45 years old.
Maya Allen was 35 years old and inspired her transgender community through her style and her joy, often doing so through her fashion and makeup tips on social media. On August 29th in Milwaukee, a witness told police that he heard two people arguing in a black SUV and then heard a gunshot, with Maya screaming out, "I'm shot."
Kitty Monroe was a beautiful person with fun energy. She enjoyed her 4 dogs, China, Milan, Tokyo, and London. On June 29th, 2022, in Cordova, just outside of Memphis, Tennessee, Kitty had asked Samuel Ward Jr. to leave. When he refused, she pulled out her gun. They struggled. They both fell down the stairs when Samuel Ward Jr. pulled out his own gun and shot her several times.
Naomi Skinner knew her worth and how to enjoy life. One of her sayings was, "Some people aren't going to like the new you, but remember, they didn't like the old you either." February 12th, 2022, outside of Detroit, she was engaged in a heated argument with her boyfriend that ended in her fatal shooting.
Kai Khan, my only child, my miracle baby, my transgender son, who was pushed to unalive in his dorm nearly 8 months ago, at only 18, due to all the hate and lies and bigotry. This was my son.
Cypress Ramos was a huge Megan Thee Stallion fan and a big supporter of her local drag community. On February 13th, Cypress was found dead in a storage shed in Lubbock, Texas. She had been struck by a hard object. She was 21 years old.
Chaminade Giselle Marie McLean genuinely cared for people. She worked as a nursing assistant for almost 4 years. After midnight on June 24th, Chaminade was shot inside of a residence in Emerald Pines Apartments in Gulfport, Mississippi. Friends and family described her as warm, kind, and funny.
16-year-old Serena Brenneman was a talented flute player in her school's advanced music program. Before a concert, she would initiate a stress relief dance with her bandmates. She channeled her inner princess to share her softness and elegance. She needed that to cope with the bullying and disrespect at school. On September 24th, Serena was found dead at Willamette River in Salem, Oregon. No further investigation into the drowning has been made by local police.
Just before 3:40 a.m. in Detroit, Michigan, Dee Dee Ricks was found dead in her home from multiple gunshot wounds. She was 33 years old. Her death is at least the 28th violent killing of a transgender or gender nonconforming person in 2022. Dee Dee was also the second killing of a black transgender woman in Detroit within a month.
Hayden Davis was 28 years old. She had a radiant smile, and she enjoyed social media. She was a Kardashian fan who loved skincare and makeup. Hayden jumped out of a vehicle and was then chased while being shot at. She died of multiple gunshot wounds in Detroit, Michigan on July 25th, 2022.
Fern Feather was a gorgeous wildflower with a love of birds and nature. They were a free spirit that vibrated joy everywhere they went. In March, Fern wrote on Facebook, "It's time to tell the world I'm a gorgeous trans woman trapped in a hot male bodysuit. Dang, sure took long enough, eh? Please share this to liberate all our other beautiful ones." On April 12th, 2022, in Morristown, Vermont, Fern died from stab wounds inflicted by a traveler they had befriended.
Paloma Vasquez just fled trans violence in Honduras to search for freedom and happiness in Houston. Her life felt promising as she was looking forward to decorating her new apartment. On the evening of February 26, 2022, her boyfriend found Paloma's lifeless body. She had been shot in her new home.
Paris Ridge held slumber parties for all the kids and prayed to God often, especially when her house was full of kids. She set out from Dallas to San Diego to become a stylist for the stars. Gave a lot of her time and love to friends and family who described her as a very independent woman who had dreams of becoming a stylist to the stars one day. She was 25 years old. On June 13th, Paris was found dead in her hotel room. The cause of death is still under investigation.
Mia Love Parker. Mia was a transgender woman who modeled MAC Cosmetics while studying at Philadelphia's Temple University. She drew inspiration from fashion magazines and her favorite series, Pose. Mia's friends described her as someone who lit up the room when she entered. A friend rushed Mia to the hospital after discovering her shot in a parked car in a suburb of Philadelphia. Mia died on April 1st, 2022. She was 25 years old.
Once Matthew Angelos Pampanato made up his mind about something, he was determined. He fell in love with Delaware and moved quickly from Georgia. He found a job at Starbucks and was known by all as someone who had a smile that could turn a day around. At age 13, he knew he wasn't cisgender and not everyone was supportive, but he drew strength from those who were. Walking home from Starbucks, he was struck and killed by a hit-and-run driver on February 9th, 2022. The police have yet to identify the driver. He was 21 years old.
Brent Wood, age 31, was an artist living without a permanent address in the Capitol Hill community of Seattle, actively trying to get off the street. They sold their work and did odd jobs at local small businesses to support themselves. A friend describes Brent as having an unwavering artistic view of the world around them and immediate compassion and love for everyone they met. Died of blunt force trauma to the head in Seattle, Washington, March 3rd, 2022.
Kennelie Gillock died in Gold Hill, Oregon, April 17th, 2022 by reported suicide. The exact details of his death are unknown.
Patti LaBelle sang to Tatiana's soul, so much that she adopted her last name to become Tatiana LaBelle. Patti and powerful female voices uplifted her. After 5 days of not seeing her, her family put out a missing person report. On March 18th, 2022, she was found beaten to death in a Chicago alley. Tatiana T.T. was 33 years old.
In 1990, Michelle Estoril moved from Lisbon, Portugal to New York City. With her closet full of costumes, she celebrated life through performance with her friends. On May 10, 2022, Michelle died from surgery to remove her silicone breast implants.
Elise Mallory was 31 years old. She was a trans rights activist and a founding board member of the Andersonville-based Chicago Therapy Collective, which aims to alleviate LGBTQ health disparities through education, therapy, advocacy, and the arts. She worked fiercely and tirelessly in support of the Chicago area LGBTQ+ and BIPOC communities. Elise died by drowning in Evanston, Illinois, March 17, 2022. Manner of death was undetermined, and the circumstances surrounding her death were suspicious.
Asher Garcia was a 14-year-old from Frazee, Minnesota. Outwardly, he appeared to be a typical preteen, competitive on a go-kart, and loyal to his friends and family. He appeared happy, but he internalized his pain from past abuse, topped with recent bullying over his transgender identity. He took his own life on April 21st.
Nedra Sequence Morris loved to engage in passionate conversations that inspired connection. More than 100 people held a vigil on the street in Opelika, Florida, where she was found shot on May 14th, 2022.
Dee Dee Hall was a generous and loving trans woman with a family that adored her. On May 26th of 2022, she was experiencing a state of panic when the Dallas police aggressively restrained her in a car parking lot. The mishandling of Dee Dee's condition led to her death. She was 47 years old.
Dior Hemingway was a recent graduate of the University of Albany, where she won awards for academic excellence. She was walking into a promising future. It was unusual for her mother not to hear back from her, so she asked the police to check on Hemingway. And on May 31st, 2022, they found her dead in her apartment and ruled it a homicide. Dior, Sid, was 30 years old.
Duval Princess. Described as a little firefly, Duval Princess was an outgoing hairstylist and a beloved member of Jacksonville, Florida's LGBTQ+ community. Her family believes that on January 2nd, 2022, she went to a shopping center to meet someone she knew. Security footage showed someone entering her car. Next, a flash was seen, and the suspect fled. She was found shot and unresponsive. Duval was 24 years old.
Ace Scott, age 15, was in the foster system and searching for a safe and loving home. Ace was very social, a leader among their friends, especially cared for their sister, best friends, and pet rat, Moon. Ace died after running away from a foster care office in Kansas City, Missouri, April 15th of 2022.
Kenyatta Keisha Webster spread hope wherever she could. She had a tight bond with her mother, who searched for her knowing something was wrong before learning that her daughter had been the victim of a robbery and a homicide. Keisha died on March 26, 2022 in Jackson, Mississippi. She was 24 years old.
Semaj, Lita, Billingslea, was 33 years old. He was an entrepreneur that started his own cleaning service. He was proud of his connection to God and his community. On September 21st, 2022, in Jacksonville, Florida, outside a motel, police found Billingslea still alive but inflicted with multiple gun wounds. At the hospital, he let go and passed on. Several local media reports misgendered him.
Kesha Chanel Jeter was 26 years old, loved her family, and they loved her back. Her aura was bright, and she used it to advocate and inspire her LGBTQ+ community. While traveling with her friend, she was fatally shot outside a motel in Augusta, Georgia on July 20th, 2022.
Quinn Moore, Guston's mother, said that she loved animals more than anything else. She had an affinity for stray cats and would regularly feed them. She was always there for her friends, and she knew how to make people laugh. She was unapologetically trans and queer. She was always willing to defend anyone from hatred of the world. Quinn lost her battle with mental health on March 24th. She was 20 years old.
Toy Davis was 34 years old when her body was found on July 16th in her Milwaukee neighborhood. She was a certified nursing assistant, loved helping people, loved cooking, and had many friends and family members. She was a member of a group called Sisters Helping Each Other Battle Advocacy, and she was a devout Christian. She believed that she was on a path as a woman who was created by God, and she said, "My transition saved my life."
On May 19th of 2022, Maddie Hoffman was experiencing a mental health crisis. Police were dispatched to do a wellness check. Within 57 seconds of arriving, Maddie had been shot 3 times and was killed. Maddie's family is absolutely devastated at her loss. And, family was such a big part of Maddie's life. Maddie was an adoptee from Korea, and having Maddie's own family meant so much to them. And I just ask that you guys keep Maddie's family in your thoughts and just keep Maddie in your hearts. Thanks.
Brazil, Johnson's Haven was her kitchen. It's where the activist and talented chef would relax and create. She was a free spirit who believed in herself and others. On June 15th, 2020 in Milwaukee, while preparing for Pride, Brazil was shot multiple times. Brazil was a transgender woman of color.
Cherry Bush was living houseless in Los Angeles when she was targeted, shot, and killed on July 6. Her brother grieves the loss of his oldest friend. Cherry was shot and killed by Eric Antonio Sanchez after he made disparaging remarks about her perceived gender identity and her sexual orientation. She died the next day in hospital. She was 49 years old. Media reports Dead named her and misgendered her.
Catherine Katie Newhouse rose above her mental health challenges and worked through her autism to advocate for trans rights. Her creed was model best behavior in your own sphere, break down stereotypes, and speak out. She was proud of her Filipina heritage. She stayed current with world events. And on March 9th, 2022, in Cherokee County, Georgia, Catherine was shot and killed by her father, who then took his own life. There had been several reports of domestic violence from within the home. She was 19 years old.
Raymond Ray Muscat enjoyed anime and cosplay. They frequently attended conventions where they would wow with their imaginative costumes. Everyone found him to be a kind soul who brightened their day. On May 8th, 2022, he was shot and killed by his lover in Independence Township, Michigan.
Milo Winslow died early in the morning on March 3rd, 2022. Those who knew Milo knew he was a fierce advocate for the trans community and gave effortlessly of his time. He always put others before him and used his platform as an influential social media creator to support others going through difficulties. He was passionate about advocacy, especially for our most vulnerable youth. As someone who had experienced what a lot of these youth have gone through, his ability to connect and support touched so many people. Something that people may not know about Milo was how deeply he loved. The traumas he experienced in life took their toll, but he still found the ability to love unconditionally.
Mortasia Richmond had a heart of gold, and people knew they could count on her. On July 11th, 2022, Chicago police officers were called out for a domestic battery complaint. They found Mortasia lifeless on the porch. She had multiple stab wounds. Martasia is the 20th transgender or gender nonconforming person lost this year. Oftentimes these cases go unreported or misreported.
17-year-old Ariana Mitchell was a junior in Newport News, Virginia, who loved dancing, styling, and making other people laugh. April 2nd, 2022, while at a party protecting a friend, Ariana's gender identity was questioned. When the young man heard the response, he shot her multiple times.
Maddie Dickens was a brilliant physicist, gifted musician, a caring sister and daughter, and a passionate advocate for the vulnerable. She was sweet, kind, smart, funny, disciplined, passionate, and stubborn. After graduating with a degree in physics from Boston University, she studied for her PhD in physics at UC Berkeley and is a co-writer on several important research papers in her field. On May 20th, 2022, in Roseville, Minnesota, Maddie took her own life.
On July 7th, 2022, Aaron Lynch, a trans man, was shot and killed by police in his home in McLean, Virginia. A friend who had been worried about Aaron's mental health had called 911. When police arrived, Aaron was holding a small bottle and a decorative mask. Despite his small frame, Aaron got into a verbal confrontation with police. Things escalated, and one cop shot and killed Aaron.
Amaray Lej was 20 years old, and she was the first known trans person to be killed in 2022. She was a dancer with the Lady Diamonds Dance Squad. She also worked with the Legacy Art Project as a youth artist apprentice. Her family described her as a vibrant soul with a presence that filled every space she entered. They say she had an unforgettable presence that will be forever missed.